This is 91.3 FM, WCW in Worcester, the Dr. Chris Radio Horror Program, or catching us on VidMe or on Facebook. With me is my co-host Cordelia.
That is me.
And we are talking about one of the best, most bumpiest science fiction franchises out there.
I don't know about best, but most
One of the
iconic
best.
science fiction franchises.
I said one of the best.
I'll say iconic.
Iconic.
How about
okay.
that?
But it definitely has a bumpy road. The Alien franchise, which at the time we were recording this and is playing live on air, and hopefully will be online too, Alien Covenant was out in theaters and made like $36 billion at the box office. So we can only hope that it will continue some momentum and like in the States and the international market we'll get Alien Awakening. But we're going to travel a little bit back in time, almost 40 years, because this is 2017 and Alien came out in 1979?
Yes.
Right. What was your first exposure to Alien?
Watching the original film on VHS tape in my parents' bedroom as a little kid.
Oh my god, how old were you?
I think I was 6.
And this has warped you into the strange and unusual individual you are today.
It left it. That is
quite certain.
by no means responsible for what you see before you, but
I think it had some. I think it was like the seed implanted inside you.
Oh God, no, not even remotely. I mean, I was long since morbid and disturbed.
I was gonna say I was trying to make a joke about how
no,
like,
I
they
got
implant
it.
the seed.
I got it.
Yeah,
I got it. We're not implanting any seeds.
no. But
yeah, watching that by myself in my parents' bedroom at some ungodly hour where they were out, and then my aunt was in the living room, and just that left a lasting impression. How about you?
It was when I was at probably around the same age as you. I remember seeing. I think Aliens came out in 1986, right?
I think so.
The
Yeah.
second one, directed by James Cameron, and Alien Nation, the movie, I think was out around the same time.
I remember
and I
that.
got the two so confused. Like I thought,
Oh,
Alien Nation,
dear.
Aliens. You're a kid. You've never seen Alien. And
Buddy
then you go to
cop
the store,
movie.
and you see these like this weird black creature, like in these model kits and like comic books and other things. You're like, what is that? And I even bought a model kit when I was 10 years old. My parents had just split up, and I moved to Massachusetts in Webster. And there was a comic book store, and they had a bunch of Alien model kits that were like really cheap. And I bought one. I was trying to assemble it, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing because it had all the tubing, and it was just so weird. It was like in the crouch position too. I don't remember whatever I did with it. I just remember being really frustrated trying to put it together. Years later, I think I saw Aliens before I saw Alien. Like, I knew what Alien was, but I didn't have as much of an interest to see it as I did Aliens. No, that's not true. In 92, Alien 3 came out, and I had saw the trailer for it before Batman Returns, which was, by the way, the first time I'd ever heard the word pussy used in context to a woman when Penguin says it to Catwoman. I had no idea what that word meant. But just before that, I saw the Alien trailer for Alien 3, where the alien comes running up to Ripley and it's like, and you're like, what the hell is that? I didn't know what it was.
For as much shit as that movie gets, that is one of the most iconic images. Is that bit with Ripley's face turned away in the Alien.
The dog face alien, yeah.
Yeah.
Or the cow alien in the other version.
God.
Isn't it a dog in one and a cow in the other?
I don't remember, honestly.
But out of all the films, what would you say would happen to be your favorite and why, and your least favorite and why?
Okay, my absolute favorite is the first one because it is a horror movie. It's a science fiction movie, but it's also a horror movie.
Yep.
That is absolutely my favorite. The pacing, the build, the atmosphere, that's all horror, and it's straight up horror, and I love that about it. My least favorite, Jesus Christ, would have to be Prometheus. That was the stupidest goddamn movie. Like, end to end, that was a dumb movie. And it irritated me that it existed in the world and got all over my Alien franchise.
You know, as much crap as Prometheus gets, I have to give it credit that I think visually it's a beautiful looking film.
Absolutely. There was some gorgeous visual stuff in that, but I'm a story person.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I'm big about and the story on that was just, I mean.
I mean, the same thing could be said about Alien Covenant. Alien Covenant has a much more concrete plot line to be able to follow in that movie to a degree. But, and yes, it is a mess at times. And there are times that I was like, as you said off the air, this is the David android or the David movie, Ridley Scott hates androids.
No, this was the Michael Fassbender explains Ridley Scott's feelings about humanity.
Yes, exactly.
Fassbender all the time. It's not an alien movie. You could remove the aliens and replace them with, the plague and still have kind of the same movie because it's about androids and humanity and the meaning of God and stuff like that, and it has almost nothing to do with the actual aliens.
Now, do you think that like in the original Alien movie and in all the others, but mainly the first one, because of the design work by H.R. Giger from the Necronomicon book, which was basically, for anyone not aware of this, and I've watched a lot of Alien videos recently, and none of them happen to point out a lot of information about Giger, however you pronounce Giger. None of them do. None of them, I mean, one or two maybe mention his name based on the works by H.R. Giger, but none of them point out that Giger designed the Alien long before the script came out. Long before there was a green light to talking about, I mean, the Necronomicon came out, what, in 1975?
Something like that. Okay,
and let's face it, Alien and the film before it, Superman, the movie, were both science fiction movies, alien films, Superman's an alien, in response to Star Wars. And Star Wars made science fiction movies viable again. You have this picture of this elongated-headed creature sucking its own cock, basically. I mean, it's coming up in between its legs. It's like this. And you're just like blown away. And then, of course, they're coming out of the walls, and they look like female anatomy. I mean, the face hugger, it sticks its thing with its fluid into you, impregnates you, and bursts out of your chest. I mean, this is just like all the twisted mind of a demented madman, but H.R. Giger was like the sweetest person in the world.
Well, I mean, being a sweet person on the street doesn't mean you have don't have the world's darkest imagination, and these aren't the things you're obsessed with, which is absolutely the case. I mean, if you've watched the documentaries.
Dark Star.
Yeah, Dark Star. And there's another one out there somewhere.
I did not know that.
It's super old. If you watch those and, you listen to him talking, you can see those glimpses of where that imagination sort of just peeks through.
I would probably I would like to watch this other documentary if you can find it. Send me a link to it. Because as much as I did like Dark Star, I was very offended that we are seeing this great artist in not the greatest part of his life, post-stroke, and he's...
Well, if they were going to talk to him, they were going to talk to him when he was, And I guess it humanizes him a little bit. He wasn't, just this chiseled, cheekboned Norwegian, whatever, living in some sort of palace of money.
Yeah.
Creating terrible things.
No, he was living in a palace of weird madness with his train. And...
Palace of hoarders, wearing his bathrobe and talking to the cat. You know? I actually liked that about Dark Star. I mean, just his overgrown train set out in the backyard and
it reminds me of of Ricky Schroeder from Silver Spoons. He had a train that ran through his house. Okay. So, in the original Alien movie, as I said, the overly sexualized undertones of that film. I mean, you have the scene where, I almost said Nancy Cartwright, but Veronica Cartwright is... We don't see what happens to her, but a lot of people believe she's being raped by the alien.
The theoretical... That doesn't make any sense, but,
No, because the alien has only one thought, destruction.
Yeah,
okay?
I mean, I think people are reading a lot into that scene.
Because
I think
tail goes under between her legs.
But it's also left... You notice the callback to that in Covenant.
Yes. And the woman is sprayed in the face after making love to her boyfriend.
Of course, in the naked screaming shower scene from, Alien, Friday the 13th.
Exactly, which, by the way, the only nude scene, as far as I can remember, in an Alien movie is in Covenant, with her breasts being shown, full nipples and everything, still turned to the side, so no...
As opposed to partial.
Yeah, butts are shown, but no downstairs business, no female anatomy. but all breasts are shown, and as far as I'm aware, none of the aliens, including the Alien vs. Predator movies, have breasts.
How do you feel about the Alien vs. Predator movies, Chris?
Okay, we'll get there in about 2 seconds as soon as I make my point about what I was talking about, the sexual undertones of Alien. Did you notice any sexual undertones between David and Walter in Alien Covenant?
Only a few. And it was such fan service. It made me happy in my horrible little heart.
Here's my flute. Blow on it.
Fassbender plus... Well, they make out. Well, sort of.
He kisses him, yeah. And you're kind of like... What?
No, that was absolute fan service, and I bless their little hearts.
This is after Fassbender a few years ago did a movie where he's like sexually hypnotizing women on a train or something. I've only seen the previews for it.
Fassbender has been in some interesting films, but yeah.
Him and Loki need to do a movie together where they just seducing women left and right.
If you just called it Fassbender Makes Out with Tom Hiddleston, Tom Hiddleston, what's his name? Loki dude.
They're both Shakespearean actors. They would totally do that.
You were making a point about the undertones in Alien.
Yes, Covenant and Alien.
In regular Alien?
Yeah, well, the sexual undertones of Alien and Alien Covenant being, again, the birthing, the vagina, the mouth, the whole thing, or whatever, whereas, like, in Covenant, it's much more homoerotic.
Right. But again, that's much more about the androids and about creation than it is about Alien.
Correct.
And things that are alien and things that are, not... things we can't understand. Mm-hmm. The entire point of Covenant is about trying to understand humanity, whereas the entire point of Alien is things that humanity has never encountered before and has no frame of understanding for.
Correct. Did you the entire time think David was full of shit?
Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty obvious. I mean, besides the flashback we see done completely differently.
I think maybe they could have not telegraphed the big spoiler twist of the end.
Oh yeah, we're going to put a disclaimer right in the box below this saying that all spoilers will be talked about. So the whole gotcha, it's really David.
Yeah,
Walter.
If they hadn't maybe telegraphed that 40 minutes into the movie, and oh wait, you're supposed to be freaked out that this is actually the bad Fassbender versus good Fassbender.
Well, the one thing I thought immediately tipped it off, besides them like that last shot where he's like looking at the knife, is that when David pretending to be Walter shows back up, his face is all cut up, and it's like, he has the ability to heal wounds. He's the new and improved model.
Why do the androids grow hair?
That was interesting too.
I was a little confused by that, but again, we're not clinging to hard science as these movies progress. Let's put it that way.
But I would love to have seen more of Dr. Frankenstein's laboratory.
We will eventually. Let's talk more about the other movies before we get into picking Covenant to shreds.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Aliens.
Aliens. I liked Aliens because of it's that Cameron Guy thing, and a lot of more men, will like Aliens more than Alien, and a lot of women will really fight with themselves about both. From many conversations with women, because Ripley is the main character more in Aliens than she is in Alien. It's halfway through the movie you suddenly realize, oh, that woman's the main character, if you've never seen the movie before. And with Aliens, I mean, you knew right from the beginning because it opens up with her little cryo tube and then ends with her kicking the Queen's ass.
Yeah, it follows her around. I mean, it's a much more popular movie because it's more accessible, which I think is one of the reasons I don't like it as much. It's an action movie, and it's commonly discussed that it's a space marine movie with aliens, as opposed to being an alien movie in which there are space marines.
Mm-hmm. And even still, that's another movie that has such a huge cast of characters that are there's a couple of them that die very quickly that we still remember. But there's still a lot of background characters like that, also in Prometheus and Covenant, that you're kind of like, wait, who are those other characters?
Right.
Like the dropship pilot woman, you're like, oh, she's the female pilot, that's kind of cool. But who the hell was that? What was her name?
I don't know. Nobody walks away from that movie thinking, oh, I really missed that dropship pilot.
Exactly.
Or, third guy with a gun from the left. Nobody cares about them, but it did have distinctive characters. I mean, everybody knows Hicks, everybody knows, Bill Paxton, everybody knows all of these characters, Vasquez and whatnot.
And we lost 2 stars of the Alien franchise this year within a few months of each other.
Right.
John Hurt, who played Captain Kane, the guy
Captain
who gets
Kane.
the chest burster out of him. Which, by the way, he has a great sense of humor because he recreated that for Spaceballs. That is
Yep.
John
Not
Hurt
again.
playing that. Yeah, not again. Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey.
Yep.
Hello, my ragtime gal. They're like, check. And then Bill Paxton, game over, man. It's never game over, Bill Paxton. That's what everyone says to reply to that. But yeah, I mean, that's really rough that we lost both of them within the same year. So
Let's hit on 3.
3.
David Fincher.
Oh man, God, you could talk about 2 hours about 3 because of like the mess that it was supposed to be. I mean, the miracle that it was supposed to be versus the mess it became.
Yep.
And then like the biggest grievous problem everyone has with that movie is not so much, well, it's just one alien versus the many there were before, or it's why did we have to kill off Newton Hicks after saving
Everybody's
him?
mad about that one. So there was, this article I recently read about it went from what you could generally refer to as an indie movie structure where it was, a fairly mellow, subtle little movie, to big movie, lots of aliens, lots of people running around shooting guns, lots of explosions, to back down to a small, intimate movie, which not a lot of people were into. And you did kill off those people, and it was really bleak, which is another thing a lot of people weren't into, especially if they saw aliens and were expecting a big, splashy James Cameron movie.
And what we got was the guy who'd been director of like music videos. This was like his first film.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, he's gone on to direct such great things like Seven and Gone Girl and such.
Yeah, he's got very clear vision. It just, that was kind of and especially with the studio interference, that was a whole.
Yeah, that's kind of like Joss Whedon. The next film, Alien Resurrection. Joss Whedon wrote that movie. This was like around the same year that we launched. A year after he launched Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Right, and so there was interference because nobody was giving him as much leeway.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised considering that 2 years prior to that he wrote one of the most surprise films of all time, Toy Story. He was the writer on Toy Story. If you ever want to see what Joss Whedon alien movies would look like, that was Alien Resurrection. A lot of people do not realize that Joss Whedon wrote that. I mean, it's got his humor in it to the point that it ruins the movie. And that stupid alien human hybrid thing at the end was just the dumbest thing in the world.
I sort of get what they were going for. I don't hate Resurrection. I can't hate it. I mean, it's got the Joss Whedon humor, which I don't think ruins it, but I don't know if it had the right place.
Yeah.
And I don't think they hit the beats with the way it was edited. I also like the cast of characters. Again, that had a really gripping cast of characters.
It had an okay cast of characters. I mean, Ron Perlman chews so much scenery in that.
Ron Perlman, Dan Hedaya, who I love in everything. It had my movie boyfriend Michael Wincote.
Yeah.
And
that director Ron Perlman had worked with several times before. You can read about it in his book or whatever.
Yeah, it was that French dude. What's his name?
Pierre
Basquiat or whatever. I don't remember.
Yeah. But also, speaking of weird homoerotic undertones, a lot of people didn't understand what was with Ripley being so lesbianish with her attitude towards Call, who was played by Winona Ryder. I mean, the aliens are not sexually aggressive creatures. They are kill and kill. Is that because her alien DNA had been mixed with her female DNA?
I don't remember it as being particularly gay. I mean, I
she
remember
runs her hands along Call's face or whatever, and she's gripping her in this embrace. The two of them about to kiss each other.
Yeah, but I'm not. I didn't. That's not what I got out of that.
That's what I kind of
I got that she was fascinated with her, and I got that there was a connection, but I thought it was a lot more, I guess, maternal.
But she definitely acts up to the point where she's you're a robot. She doesn't realize that she's a robot, but she's supposed to be this super heightened sensitive creature now.
I'm not saying it's a perfect movie. I'm not saying it's a great movie. I'm not even saying it's a particularly good movie. I'm just saying
what are you saying?
I'm saying I don't hate it, and I can see what they were going for. And it's the same with 3.
Yeah.
I don't hate it, and I can see what they were going for. Now, Prometheus, I can sort of see what they were going for. I think they missed it.
With Alien vs. Predator movies, they were really trying to adapt comic books into movies.
I actually didn't see either of those on purpose.
because did you ever read the Alien vs. Predator comic
I
books?
did. I actually enjoyed those a fair bit, but I didn't think that the movies were going to be good, and hey, guess what?
They weren't.
I was told by every single human that has seen them they were stupid.
Well, this is what happens when you get the guy who directed Mortal Kombat and the Resident Evil movies to make your Alien film.
I saw Mortal Kombat in theaters.
I did too. But we we had been waiting on this movie as long as we'd been waiting on Freddy vs. Jason because at the end of Jason Goes to Hell, Freddy's hand, played by Kane Hodder, by the way, comes up and grabs Jason's mask and pulls it down. And for years we're like, when's we going to get Freddy vs. Jason? At the end of Predator 2, when Danny Glover's inside the Predator ship, there is an alien bone sitting on the trophy wall, which lit everyone up. When Predator 2 came out, Dark Horse Comics had just released Alien vs. Predator for the first time, so they were tying the two together. We had to wait many years for it to happen, and we finally got it. And it was this PG-13 disaster movie, which was like, overall, rewatching it recently, I actually don't completely hate it because despite the fact there is almost zero violence in the movie in terms of like the bloodshed, there's alien and predator gore, but that because they're creatures, that's okay. But the human violence is like a quick cutaway when the chestburster comes out, and then the chestburster's there, and then they're dead. So they're not seeing it like penetrate through the body like we normally do, and you hear the sickening crack of bones. In Alien vs. Predator Requiem, they wanted to change that and make it like the gory movie, but were they using a plot line left over from One Tree Hill and Dawson's Creek? We got this stupid character who just got out of jail, and his brother who's like the high school Peter Parker, who's got the blonde girl who he's batting eyes with, but she's dating the dumb jock or whatever, because women are written in movies to not date and have any type of sensible dating skills. They're going to date the guy, the bad boy, versus the guy that they should be
all
with.
Things serve the quasi-plot.
Yeah, anyway, so I'm not joking. This is the freaking plot of Alien vs. Predator Requiem, and then the Predator ship crash lands after the Pred-Alien destroys it. The only cool thing about Alien vs. Predator a lot of people loved is that in the beginning, when they realized that the ship that was supposed to come home to the Predator homeworld has crashed back on Earth, so they send a scout out to find out what the hell's going on, we get to see the Predator homeworld, which is pretty cool. Something we still only seen a piece of. Now, with The Predators coming out, directed by Shane Black, who knows what's going to happen. But back to Requiem. The scene that really grievously offended a lot of people, women and men alike, is the Pred-Alien sucks face with these pregnant women in a maternity ward, and then a few minutes later, there are chestbursters out of their bellies where their baby was. And it was like, wow, did we just step over a complete line that looked like a dot from space?
Well, that escalated quickly.
Oh. And then, of course, there's like all this bonus material where like the actors are like, oh my god, I'm in an alien movie, and it's like, did you watch what you were in? The children, the maternity ward getting murdered by the Pred-Alien wasn't the most grievous thing. In the very beginning of the movie, there's a child who has a face hugger implanted on it or whatever. We do not see his demise. We see the after effect. They probably couldn't cross that line. The dog, the same thing. There's a dog that gets a face hugger put on it. The dog dies. We saw that in Alien 3, so
right.
That's okay.
It's been done.
It's been done.
Okay.
But they keep going back to the stupid plot line of like, oh, the ex-con's going to team up with the police, and the police just give them all sorts of information about like what the hell's going on, that they think there is some serial killer running around, not realizing it's the Predator on Earth wiping people out.
So you think these movies are great, and you recommend them to everyone?
No, I only recommend watching the first one just so you can see what like, you know, decent action scenes and also a well-lit movie. Alien vs. Predator was mostly in the rain, and it's like, wow, what did the Pred-Alien look like? Couldn't see it.
So I guess we should talk about Prometheus. I've said a bit about Prometheus, and your take on Prometheus?
I think Prometheus, you know, as we saw the trailers and the commercials, which by the way, they did a great WALL-E version of Prometheus if you ever saw it.
Yes.
Yes. I thought that movie looked visually so beautiful, and I love the atmosphere of the movie. I love the feeling when I watch the movie, but man, oh man, I can point out every single problem with the film from beginning to end. Excuse me. Starting with the my cup of tea is my body, break it apart and create life on Earth. Okay, so how many people were aboard Prometheus? Because once we think it's just the core crew, and then it's like, wait, there's all these people taking care of Waylon Bishop or whatever his name is. Well, by the way, Lance Henriksen played Waylon Bishop in Alien vs. Predator, the Bishop android we would get later on. Then we have not Ethan Hawke. Is it Ethan Hawke? No. It's who plays Walt Wayland in Prometheus.
Oh God, I don't remember. It might have been Ethan Hawke.
But you know who I'm talking.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can look it up.
He does like the TED Talk video ahead of time.
Yep.
And then of course like. It's like the studio was afraid to put out the movie that should have been like the movie we got, because Damien Lindelof, who is the creator of Lost and a lot of other rewrite scripts like the Transformer movies, rewrote the script that had originally been about Chariot of the Gods, and it was going to be more about Chariot of the Gods with some aliens thrown in, like the Xenomorph stuff, but they wanted that stuff taken out to focus it on like building up a franchise of alien movies, which they took 5 years to do between Prometheus and Covenant. Thank God they did not repackage Prometheus as Alien Prometheus recently.
Yeah.
Because that would have been a bad idea. Because you only get two aliens in that movie. You get a little worm thing, and it's like, oh, that's so cute. Look at that thing. Ah!
Well, I mean, that's sort of what they were doing with the, David's alien petting zoo on, Prometheus.
I love that.
Not Prometheus, Covenant, was, look at all these, hybrids and fucking weird things that I created in my, space basement. And he goes into space with like a selection of creatures.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think what they're hoping is that they can build more movies on what he's going to do with those, and then lead into the
but he
next
left
set.
all his research behind and everything when he.
He's an android. He's probably got it memorized.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm really hoping that when the DVD Blu-ray comes out, we really get to see like a whole let's show you what this whole thing just kind of slow it down, because I mean the drawings that we see of I think it's called a troglodyte, is what Naomi Rapace gives birth to. In the weirdest C-section, the most painful C-section scene of all time. Then she's running around afterwards, which no one could ever be able to do.
I have a question. Oh, go on.
No, then we get then we see, spoiler alert, Naomi Rapace's character, Elizabeth Shaw, dead, autopsied open and everything, and you're like, whoa,
So,
I knew that he was lying from the beginning, but I was really kind of still shocked to see her sprayed out like that. And you're like, next to an engineer,
mm-hmm.
the engineer that they found probably in hypersleep, or one of the engineers that escaped the plague, and his body was still intact because he basically holocausted the engineers when he got to the planet.
Well, so I mean, one of the points that they're making is that he's more self-determining and has all kinds of personal autonomy, which they built out of future models of androids.
Yeah.
And so that made him evil, apparently.
Even though he said he loved Elizabeth. Do you think he actually loved Elizabeth in his own destructive way?
Yes. I don't think that stopped him from dissecting her. So what did she build him a body out of? He was a severed head at the end of Prometheus, and then she's floating around on the engineer ship with God knows what, and she somehow managed to build him an entire android body? Oh,
no. I think that she, because we only see her zip the head back up, and then the next scene after in Prometheus, when she zips the head back up, the next scene is her taking off in the ship. The next ship, not the one that crashed, but a different ship.
What I'm saying is, they happen to have android parts?
No, what I'm saying is that she probably went into the engineer's ship, dragged the body out.
Oh, I see.
And she had to get the head, too, don't forget.
Well, there's that short with her welding his head back on.
Yeah, but, I mean, don't forget, the head and the body were still next to each other when she ran out. And she was running, left to right, where Shelby Center was running up and down. In the most baffling scene of, a person running away from danger.
That's such a movie trope, though, is, something's coming straight at me, I'll run straight away from it.
Yeah. I also, despite how bad Prometheus was and how so-so Covenant was, couple quick things before we end this. One, all the creature effects, all the design, everything I could touch and feel. They built those sets. They flew to exotic locations that looked like something from another world. Like, they think they were in Iceland in the first one. Mm-hmm. You've been to Iceland.
Yeah.
You go take a lot of trips to Iceland. Was it just like that?
Yeah.
Does it look like that?
Yes.
Did you get to go? Do they even have a Prometheus set or anywhere?
I have no idea about that. I was only there for 2 days.
Now, I think they went to Australia for the sequel, right?
Yes, they did.
And everything, the pictures of like the engineered gods, it's made out of styrofoam, and that temple.
There was a little callback to the Giger
That's
design.
all real.
Yeah,
it's so beautiful.
there was a little callback to the Giger design when they first go into David's refuge.
Yes.
That was cool, and they did all of their own effects. They did animatronics and puppets and suits and stuff.
And what's funny is I got a cease and desist from 20th Century Fox several months ago before the Alien trailer for Covenant came out because I got pictures of of David's little workshop.
Nice.
And I also got a full picture of what the new facehugger is going to look like. And I posted a hashtag, not hashtag, but a blip below it saying female anatomy from top to bottom because the model splayed out was the clitoris, the vagina, and the anus with like two what looked like thighs spread out for the new facehugger. And I was like, wow, guys, we're really pushing it this time. Because I kept showing that. I was like, what does that look like to you? Are you a fan? First I asked the question, are you a fan of Alien? Yes, I am. What does that look like to you?
It looks like straight up Giger.
It was so weird how they really wanted to make it seem like, to... Now, the gestation period that, like, the captain who believe... Which, by the way, they talk about the captain who loses his wife having faith, but they don't talk about the faith that much that he has.
I think it's unnecessary to talk about, like, the particulars of his faith.
Because we did that with Elizabeth Shaw?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it's just that he is a person of faith. What faith that is mostly irrelevant to making the story go.
Now, a couple of female friends of mine, and I've read this on a couple of key, more female-centered sites, have said that Covenant is as far away from a feminist film as you could possibly get. In fact, it could be considered the most anti-feminist movie to come out in years. And
I'd be interested in reading more.
I don't have a comment about that.
I would be interested in reading more about that breakdown because I didn't get a particularly feminist or non-feminist stand from it. But
yeah.
And I'm generally on the lookout for that sort of thing. But I'd be interested in seeing what somebody else saw in it.
Yeah, I mean,
that made it, that gave them the impression that it was either feminist or anti-feminist.
David wanted to drag the main female character. What was her name?
Yeah.
The actress's name is Kate.
Yeah,
so.
It was Demi or something like that.
Yeah, so he wanted to drag her down to the basement to get face hugged.
Yeah.
Whereas, I would have found that to be a lot more slasher killer assault than what Ash was trying to do to Ripley in the first movie, where he was shoving a newspaper down her mouth, where the actor who plays Ash says that's the equivalent of an android raping somebody.
It's all about, forcible introduction of a foreign object,
Correct. Which, by the way, that happened to the men as much as it did the women.
That's right.
Movie.
I mean, that's sort of egalitarian.
You had
as far
one
as that
man
goes.
and one woman left over, so equal portions. In fact, the Covenant ship was divided up between men and women because they needed to procreate to help colonize the planet. They had the scientists who reviewed the movie said they had the correct number of embryos and everything else to create a new life force cycle.
Right. I mean, so you have genetic diversity and things
correct.
like that.
And the one thing you didn't see was the Christmas Eve special, which James Franco's in, because James Franco plays the husband who gets barbecued in the beginning. They also had gay and lesbian couples aboard that ship.
Well, they made that clear because the one couple was married, and as he's dying, his husband is freaking out about that.
That's right. Okay,
yeah.
I missed that then because I didn't think they made that as much of a point as they did in the Christmas Eve one. Biggest surprise of that movie, Danny McBride was not like the doofus he is in other things. He was actually, he was joking, whatever. That's like writing Ryan Reynolds in the movie Life. He's gonna have jokes, okay? It's just, he's a comedian. He's a very funny comedian. But when you give him serious material, I was very happy with how Danny McBride maintained being this tough pilot versus, a couple jokes here and there. And they were even off, his character's not even on camera and he's saying something out, you're still like, that's Danny McBride's character. So, overall, I'd recommend going and seeing Covenant.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's just not particularly alien-y.
No, but also do yourself a favor, if it's still on Netflix, go watch Dark Star, the H.R. Giger documentary.
And I'll look up the other one and get you a link.
Definitely. I think you can find copies of Necronomicon on Giger's website.
Mm-hmm.
It's been always in print, so definitely highly recommend it. Do not watch Alien vs. Predator 1 and 2. Buy the Alien vs. Predator comic books from Dark Horse. In fact, you can buy the newest one, Dead Orbit, which is by James Stocco.
James Stocco.
And There's no trailer, there's no images out for it, but there is confirmation that we are getting Alien Isolation 2. So that hopefully will be as good as the first one.
Good deal.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for joining me for this discussion about Aliens, Cordelia.
Absolutely.
Hey everyone, Dr. Chris here. Here's some more film critic reviews about the Alien franchise, including Alien Covenant. Now, this was recorded after the initial chat between me and my co-host, and this also involves Morgue film critic Dede Crimmins.
Inside thoughts about Alien Covenant, because it's been out for a week, we've all seen it. Whether or not you love or hate it or not, that is entirely up to you to mention.
Okay, you want me to start?
Yes, ladies first.
Oh, thank you.
We'll do around the clock. We'll do Dede, Cordelia, Chris, and then Dan, since he's on the phone in front of me.
For Alien Covenant, I didn't hate it the way that some other critics did. I thought that the middle third bored me to tears, and I did not care about any of those characters, and didn't quite understand why they're spending so much time on that damn planet with dumb people acting dumb. But for the most part, I thought it was interesting once they got back on the ship. I like watching James Franco die as always, so it was entertaining. It was better than Prometheus for me, but that's not saying a lot.
Dede, would you say James Franco would be having his own barbecue?
Possibly.
Since it's Memorial Day weekend.
I find James Franco to be a fascinating character, and I think he chooses really interesting film projects, so I don't want to universally shit on him. But that being said, I thought it was interesting that this is the role that he chose for himself, essentially, in this film.
Oh, we need to have a whole discussion about Mother May I Sleep with Danger, the lesbian vampire movie that was on Lifetime last year. Yes. Which is a remake of a Tori Spelling movie from 20 years ago, where she played the daughter whose mother finds out she is sleeping with a serial killer. Mm-hmm. So in the remake, it's the mother finds out not only is her daughter a lesbian, but she's also dating a vampire. Which is worse, lesbian or vampire? You decide, PC people.
I shouldn't have to choose between the two. They're not opposite sides of the Venn diagram.
That's correct.
Even worse, she's a different religion.
Cordelia, what is your thoughts on Alien Covenant?
That I didn't cover last week. I think that the Michael Fassbender Show is a fascinating movie, and I would watch it all the time. There may have been some incidental Billy Crudup and, whatever in it, but it was, again, I didn't hate it for a movie about Michael Fassbender describing Ridley Scott's thoughts on humanity.
I still love the quote I read in The Nerdist, but I might be wrong, so don't quote me on that, saying Alien Covenant has what could be considered one of the most homoerotic scenes of 2017.
I learned so much about woodwinds, though.
Here's my flute, blow on it.
Oh, I'll do the fingering. I'm like, well, Dan can attest to this. The theater, our theater that we saw it at, was laughing hysterically throughout that entire scene. Openly.
All the criticism about that movie is warranted at times, but the number one thing I want to point out is that it's just beautiful looking movie once again. Mm-hmm. But just what the fuck were they doing sometimes? Were they just shoehorning that alien in there?
I'm going to cut through all this. First of all, the first two Alien films, Alien and Aliens, are the two best in the series. No question, end of that discussion. Alien versus Predator, they don't count. We just erase them. They're not part of the series. Now you look at I think it's 6 Alien films. They're all telling the same story. It's like a ritual. It's like kabuki feet. And so what's interesting about the new entries is the nuance, the subtle changes. What does it bring to essentially telling the same story again? I wasn't bored watching this. I was annoyed with how stupid the humans are when they land on the planet, and they're not only not protecting themselves, but they're contaminating everything left and right. But, in the end, I thought the theme of the movie, which had to do with what does it mean to be a creator, and what does it mean if you are created and don't have the ability to create, what does that mean? Those were some interesting ideas that the new Alien played around with. It was fun. It's not the best of the series. I wasn't bored.
Yes, at least it was popcorn entertainment, kind of like the movie that came out this weekend, Pirates of the Caribbean. Did we all see it?
No. Oh, God, no.
No? Did you see it, Dede?
Yeah.
And Boston film critic Dan Kimmel. Enjoy.